stories from solarization of agricultural feeders and notable field experiences. We are very fortunate to have an incredible line of experts with us who are ready to share their experiences and insights. So to begin with, I am honored to introduce our chair for this session, Srimati Abha Shukla, ACS Energy Maharashtra. Ma'am, please join us on stage and grace us with your presence. We are very privileged to have you here. Next, let's welcome our moderator, Shri Ravi Sirapati sir, advisor at the India Smart Grid Forum. Sir, please come and take your place on the stage. Now I have the pleasure of inviting all our speakers to the stage. Shri Vipul K. Joshia, Director of Aditya Green Energy Private Limited. Invite you to come and please take your place on the stage, sir. Shri Deepak sir, Chief Engineer PPA at UPPCL. Sir, we are eager to hear your insights on power procurement and distribution. May I have the pleasure of inviting Shri Ranveer sir, MD UPPTCL sir. Our international insights, please welcome Shri Dhruv Suri and Shri Mohak Mangal from Stanford University. So please come and take your seat on the stage. Shri Arvind Singh, CEO of TPCO DCL. So please come forward and take your seat. Shri S.R. Pandey, member of GERC. Thank you for joining us today, sir. Shri J.K. Atani, scientist at MNRE. Thank you for joining us today, sir. Shri Nitish Kumar, MD of DVVNL UP. We are excited to have you present, sir. A big round of applause for all our speakers, please. And lastly, Shri Anant Venkateshwaran, advisor at the India Smart Grid Forum, sir. Thank you everyone for joining us today. Now with all our speakers on the stage, now I hand over the mic to our moderator to take the forward session. Thank you, sir.
Madam Chair, all the members, distinguished members on the panel, and as mentioned by Dr. Goyal this morning, it's a very unique theme that they have got here. There are a set of presenters who will get about 7 to 8 minutes or 9 minutes. And then there is a whole bunch of people who are discussants. You have the opportunity to use a slide, but I've said in my emails to all of you about 5 minutes. But you may choose not to have a slide, but you discuss based on the presentations done. Now, why is this session so important? Is simply because 10 years ago, India embarked in this area. And the rest of the country has moved in different paces. Success stories are different levels of achievement. And there is a question mark whether there is one way of doing the whole thing for the entire country. And that is what we hope to capture. For even if we take two points from every one of you and capture it, I think the organizers of this conference would like to then present that as a kind of a nice guide as to what the country can do or should do differently or cannot do. So we don't know where the answer lies, but this expert panel will tell us. The second is, please, we have a very tight timeline. We have begun almost an hour late. So I will hold the time. So the presenters get about 8 to 9 minutes. And please, all the discussants, 5 minutes maximum. And then 10 minutes for Q&A. If I stand up, please don't make me stand up. It's not good. But the time set is there on the clock. So with that, Madam Chair, the floor is yours.
Please load my presentation. So dear friends, good afternoon. After lunch sessions are difficult, and for me also it is difficult because there is a timeline of 10 minutes. And I have to present an experiment which we have been doing in the state of Maharashtra in the past 1.5 years. Basically, our objective is to provide reliable, adequate, and quality supply to farmers as well as other people. So I'm going to share the key learnings from our experience. We have started experimenting with distributed RE long back in 2017. In fact, in the past 1 year, we have done some kind of process re-engineering, which I am going to present here, because we wanted to scale up the deployment of distributed RE. As all of us know that Maharashtra is the biggest energy consumer in the country. We have 1 crore plus farmers. 30% of the state electricity consumption is in agriculture sector. Our connected load is 16,000 megawatt. This is the highest agriculture demand in India. And our agriculture is highly subsidized and the main cause of revenue losses. As you can see clearly that Maharashtra electricity demand pattern across states, Maharashtra is topping it. And we wanted to take a big leap in deploying distributed RE. Next. So as I told you that 30% energy is almost consumed by 15% of agriculture consumers. We have around 10,000 plus agriculture feeders, and almost 7,000 have already been segregated. The most interesting part is that from these 15% consumers who are consuming 30% energy, the revenue recovery is just 2 to 3%. So this was the main cause of all the use of DISCOM. Next. Our agriculture is highly subsidized against the supply cost of 8 rupees 46 paisa per unit. Agriculture tariff is just 4 rupees around. And farmers have to pay 1.27 paisa, 1 rupees 27 paisa. That too they are not paying. And we end up paying almost 11,000 plus crores as subsidies. Over and above this, our industrial tariff is very high because there is cross-subsidy burden on them of around 15,000 plus crores. So we were trying to implement PM Kusum from 2019, but we realized that not even 400 megawatt could be deployed under that. We realized that if we wanted to have a desired outcome, we had to go for some kind of reconstruction of existing processes. So there were 5 major challenges which we tried to address at Maharashtra level only. So for example, we realized that the project sizes were very small and no big developers were coming forward. So we adopted cluster-based approach. So basically we created clusters of smaller projects. The cluster size was around 200 to 250 megawatt, and therefore we were able to create economies of scale. Then land availability was the second challenge which we were facing. We tried to locate land, government land especially, within 5 to 10 kilometers periphery of 33 and 11 kV substations. I am happy to tell you that we could find around 40,000 acres of government land for these projects within a record period of 3 months. And it was all tabletop exercise. I would like to go to the link slide where you can see that how we did it. So there were 3 portals were not linked. There is a PM Gati Shakti portal, there is a revenue department portal. So we created API links between these portals. And then this is how we basically carved out circles on the map. Next. And we could identify all the government lands, which the list was provided to collectors and the energy department people, and they identified the best land which was suited for this. Let us go back. Then there were delay in permissions and NOCs. So let me tell you that not only we provided 40,000 acres of land, all this land was given with all these 7-8 necessary NOCs and advanced grid connectivity. And this all was basically housed in the data room, and data room access was given to developers. So they were knowing that what kind of land coordinates are there, land ownership, lessee details, substation details, capacity details, railway line, water bodies, all these details were available in the data room. Next. So this is the data room which was given to the developers, so that they are very well aware that what they are going for and how they have to choose their substation land. Previous slide, please. Then there were delay in payment, so we created a revolving fund mechanism from Green Fund, a Green Cess Fund. Then we also created a mechanism of giving deemed generation, because mostly what we realize that there is very low reliability of network at 11 kV level. And then we created a nodal agency for providing this kind of delayed payment, this thing. Next. We also went for re-engineering of processes. So we took 4 major steps. We created Maharashtra Agro Solar Company, which is under MSEB Holding Company. And we created 22 different SPVs. These SPVs were district-wise. And basically, developers had to, all the land details, all the NOCs were housed in SPVs. The developers had to bid for SPV. So this is how we have created SPVs and given these SPVs for solar power development to the solar power developers. Then for ease of doing business, we created a single window portal. And apart from this, end-to-end monitoring is done through SCADA system, which we are deploying. Apart from that, I would also like to tell you that some kind of state incentives were also given. For example, when we have finalized the land lease rent, which is fixed at 1,25,000 rupees per hectare per year, with a 3% increase per year. So wherever developers want to go for private land, they can do it, and this is the land rental which they have to pay. Then there is a social development grant for Gram Panchayats, which we are giving. Whoever is participating proactively, 5 lakh rupees per year for 3 years is the social development grant. Apart from that, for substation strengthening, we have given 25 lakhs per substation. So this is how we have tried to basically invite developers. And next. This was the result of our efforts in 18 months. Now 15,200 megawatts solar capacity has been awarded to developers. This is a snapshot. The smaller circle shows where we are in 23-24, and after 18 months of time, so by June 26, we are going to reach to the bigger circle. Our 100% agriculture will be solarized. I am happy to tell you that it will be almost 5 times capacity. And since we have already given the letter of awards for 15,000 megawatt plus, 6 projects have already been completed in a record time of 6 months, and Honorable PM has inaugurated these 6 projects recently. I will skip these 2 slides. Next. So this is a win-win situation for everyone. As I told you, this is a game-changer scheme for us. The most interesting part is that even now, even today, 50% of energy to farmers is given during the night time in Maharashtra, we will be able to provide daytime supply to farmers, to 100% farmers. Then they will get additional income if they give their land for solar power development. Apart from that, there is lower electricity tariff because our discovered rate is 3 rupees 10 paisa. It is all below 3 rupees 10 paisa. Then 30 lakh women will be benefited. There is social benefit grant, so gram panchayats are also going to be benefited. Our AT&C losses are going to come down to 6 to 10%. Then we are going to save around 5,000 crore plus on government subsidies. Our savings of 10,000 crores will be in power purchase cost, and of course, greenhouse emissions will come down substantially. So here, with this slide, I come to an end of my presentation. In nutshell, I would like to just mention this, that because of the process re-engineering, we found that there was an overwhelming response from solar power developers. We created a very, very inviting environment for solar power developers, and now by December end, 5,000 megawatt, which we could not do in 7 years of time, that will be implemented by December 24 only. So thank you so much.
Good afternoon. After lunch sessions have their own challenges. Food for thought can be never a substitute for the real thing. I'll give a brief presentation here on the Kusum C initiatives that are going on, the collaborative efforts between UPPCL and UP NIDA to achieve the objectives of the Kusum C plan. We understand from the morning session also that the Kusum C plan has got a very pivotal role in the way there's a role play between the subsidized category and the subsidizing category, and also in the scheme of things which are emerging in the power sector. The key features of the Kusum C, I won't delve into the details because I believe that the audience are already aware of, but other than for the DISCOMs, the Kusum C, like the first 3 letters of the Kusum, the Kisan Urja Suraksha, the energy and the water security that it provides to the farmer, the dieselization of the agricultural pumps, as well as the fact that it provides an additional avenue for the farmers to income source to the farmers. Now, in my presentation, I'll just like to show that we had a previous Kusum C bid, and we have now a currently Kusum C bid which is going on. What are the learnings from the previous bid, and what happened in the previous bid, and what are the mid-course corrections which we have made, and the points that we have added into the new bid. If you can see, in the first bid which we carried out was for the 150 megawatt, in which we had taken up 98 substations, but the result that we achieved was that we got 22 PPAs were only signed. The project was substation-wise. Only 22 PPAs could be signed for 34.8 megawatt of the capacity. And the tariff that was achieved was of rupees 2.99. Now, based on the inputs in the previous tender, what we have done now that for the new Kusum C tender, which is currently afloat, we have gone for a capacity of 3,205 megawatt, which is covering about 942 substations in 36 districts. Largely, if you see that these capacities, these substations are coming up in Purvanchal, in Paschimanchal and Dakshinanchal, and with capacities in Madhyanchal and Purvanchal also low capacity. This bid is currently online. Now, there will be a slide later on which will be showing in more details, but here also we like to mention that one of the bottlenecks was that the financial worth of the bidders. Oops, sorry. Yeah, sorry, thanks for that. It's gone, yeah. The financial worth of the bidders. So this time what we have done, we have kept only one category, which is net worth of the bidders should be positive, that's all. The EMD and the PBG we have kept as we have shown. And the ceiling price we have also kept for up to 5 megawatts is 3 rupees 10 paisa. And for 5 to 50 megawatts, rupees 2.99. Now, one of the other key features are that, like in the previous slides of the Maharashtra, when we saw that they have gone for a cluster approach. Here, what we are doing, we have made each substation as a project. We are trying to see that if many farmers who cannot compete in a larger scale, they get also opportunity. And besides, since large scale bidders do also have, if they have land availability, they can also grow for and give a bid for multiple substations. So we allow substation is a project, one bid from a bidder for one substation, but a bidder can also give bids for multiple substation also. Now another thing which we have done to address the situation which we encountered last time was that if you don't get a bid for the substation, there was a rebidding process. So this time what we have introduced is a waterfall method. In this, what happens that all the bids that are received in a district, they are ranked from in a ascending order from L1, L2, and that way onwards. So in case if no bid has been received for a substation, then we ask, the L1 rate is given to the other bidder in the ascending orders. And in case two or more bidders agree for that L1 rate, then we decide it on a basis of a lottery. Even in a single bid for a single substation, if there are more than one L1 bidders, there also we are not going for the e-reverse auction process. We are trying to make things simple and we are going with the lottery method. In case we are not able to get a bidder for a substation which was not bidded for from the district, then we go to the contiguous districts. The same process is repeated, and in case from the contiguous districts also we are not getting any bidder, then we go for the DISCOM as a whole. So this is one of the methods where we will try to get a larger participation and try to get a better achievement from the tender process. Now, I've described this process. In UP-NED has also created a portal. So this time, the land records that are available, the farmers can register freely on this portal the land which they want to lease out. They can give that option. And the bidders who are participating in the tender process, they, by depositing a nominal fee of rupees 5,900 on the portal, they can get to know the details of the land parcels that are given there. Okay. The PPA that we are going to be signed is for 25 years. What we have done is that generally in the guidelines they provide for a tenure of 18 months. What we have done here, we are providing a period of 12 months, which will be extendable by 6 months. The scheduled COD will be taken as 18 months. But we just want to check after 12 months how seriously the work is going on, because sometimes we have seen from the past experience also that if you give a longer timeline and then you don't have any intermediate milestone to cross-check them. So after 12 months, we like to see what the progress has been made, and based on the progress and the kind of the achievement, the further 6 months will be available to the bidder. The minimum CUF has been kept as 19%. This time we have also allowed repowering. So this repowering will be allowed for 6 months for the entire term of the PPA. And during the period of the repowering, there shall be no penalty on the developer for non-achievement of the CUF. Any excess generation and the early commissioning, this time UPPCL has given a consent to offtake all that power if it is there at the tariff which has been quoted by the bidder. The CFA and the viability gap funding of the state government, I mean 1.05 crore per megawatt from under the CFA and the 50 lakhs per megawatt which the state government is giving. As per the new guidelines of the MNRE, the disbursement for both the state government subsidy and the CFA has been kept alike. 30% after 30% completion of work, next 30% after 75% completion of work, and final 40% on the successful completion of the entire work. Now in this slide, we are just giving us a snapshot of what happened and what were the conditions in the previous bid process and what we have modified in the new bid process which is currently ongoing. And we expect that these changes will motivate bidders to participate more and result in a better participation. Earlier, limited liability partnership was not allowed. This time we have allowed it. Earlier, we had kept an annual turnover clause of rupees 2 crore per megawatt. This time we have only kept a net worth, positive net worth as on 31st March 2024. Previously, there was a process of I have described the waterfall method. In case no bid was received for a substation, entire rebidding was happened. This time we are trying to cut short on those timelines. Repowering, earlier in the previous bid, we had not allowed repowering. This bid, we have allowed repowering. And even the earlier commissioning, etc. has happened. I'd just like to mention these are the features of the document that is before the Honorable Commission for approval, and the bid process is scheduled for 26th of November. So with this, I like to end my presentation on the efforts being made in the UP for the Kusum C. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Vipul Joy, sir. I represent Aditya Green Energy Private Limited from Maharashtra. As Madam told, we have been associated in this distributed solar project since 2018. We have commissioned around 16 projects in 2020 which are operational. Out of 16 or 17 projects which have been commissioned in Maharashtra phase 1 under Kusum C, which are among first 20 or 25 projects of FLS in Maharashtra or in country. Those have been completed in a small So, total feeder level solarization projects implemented in India as on 30th September, as per MNRE data, around in pump terms is 32,157. Out of the total allocated capacity or sanctioned capacity of 33 lakh, which is less than 0.1%. Maharashtra is leading with 12,157 pump, which is approximately 91 megawatt peak. Our company has contributed around 75 megawatt peak of these projects. I am here because it was very difficult to convince the investors or the developers for this project because of the low IRR. So we just onboarded local investors, local high net worth individuals, local farmers to participate in these schemes, convincing them with the accelerated depreciation benefit, with the annuity return type thing, and that has worked very well. So we just under the first initial scheme, which was called MSKUI 1, Mukhyamantri Saur Krishi Yojana 1, we commissioned around 13 projects which are operational since last 3 years. So these 13 projects with 30 megawatt peak capacity in 2020 just created an atmosphere in particular 3 districts. Our company mainly come from 3 districts of Maharashtra, where Latur, Bid and Dharasiv, and those 3 districts are the most backward, or at least in the bottom backward districts or less industrialized districts of Maharashtra with minimum industrialization. But the wave with this Kusum scheme just caught fire. and all projects were successfully completed despite of the challenges posed by the COVID. Now, I am just standing here to vouch whatever ma'am has said. It was MSEDCL and Maharashtra government which implemented the FLS scheme on a mission mode. It was like a war-like mode. I must say, ma'am, that I can remember the meetings which we attended, and the developers were asking for something, and it was like madam was saying tathastu, granted. And in the same way, every wish list of the developers were granted. All approval process were streamlined, deemed approval, single window portal, many approvals were done away with, revenue land was provided for the at a nominal rate of 1 rupees, private land bank was created. Madam, just on our request, madam allowed the smaller bidders, as right now UP government was saying that they are just allowing the smaller bidders. Ma'am allowed the smaller bidders in those 3 districts. They said as trial, we will allow these three districts to have a substation-wise bid, and we will allow the individual bidders as well. And it created a magic actually. Those 3 districts, 99% of substations have received the bid and LOA or the PPA has been completed. These 3 districts will have 99% the solar substation will be solarized in next 18 months. Because 1% is not achieved because those are very urban substations and you cannot get the land there. Otherwise, that 1% also would have been completed. The bottom rate which you received, ma'am, 2 rupees 69 paisa, was also from these 3 districts, from a smaller bidders. And this scheme just worked well. Now all the projects are in streamline and maybe commission in next month. As ma'am says, we are targeting to commission around 200 megawatt of those projects in next months. Now, talking about the challenges, I would like to quote Ashish Goyal, sir. Sir, as you are discussing about the solar and all about the issues of DISCOM, sir, this kind of projects can resolve all your issues over next 25 years. I am just from a finance perspective. I can say you that a 3 rupee 10 paisa or 3 rupee average PPA for a 25 years without any escalation means today's net present value is around 1 rupee 20 paisa or 1 rupee 30 paisa of that PPA. If I discount it at a 9% rate, which is just 20% of whatever ACS I was seeing in the earlier presentation of 5 rupees 60 paisa. And if I add 2% of the minimum escalation due to your higher cost of employment cost or whatever fuel cost, dollar cost, minimum 2%, then this cost will be just 10% after 15 years right from today. So these projects can answer all the questions of the distributed utilities if they are handled in a Maharashtra way. The way ma'am has handled it Maharashtra. Now there are some challenges in these projects. The land and ROW, even the government is helping. Still there are some issues. Financing is also one of the challenges because bankers are not able to understand these projects. Even though solar is coming in a big way in India, but still the ground level bankers, they are not able to understand the AC-DC capacity, whatever those technical terms and all these things. There is a challenge about availability of DCR modules. Right now, the DCR modules are around 70% higher. The entire subsidy or CFA is going to DCR part. So that needs to be arranged. Timely release of CFA, that needs to be checked. Upgradation of ground infrastructure, which I think everyone is doing. Proper training of DISCOM team and lender team. DISCOM teams, they need to be properly trained because what happens, sir, I beg your pardon, but the message goes downline, the executive engineer, AE or JE, they think that we will lose our job due to solar because the revenue paying customers are going to somewhere else. So we may lose the job. That is very wrong perspective because solar is going to exist forever and it has to be coexisted. So that message needs to go to the bottom level employees so that they just start cooperating with those solar developers or rooftop solar owners. Clarification of that this is not the forum. Please next. So for my suggestion to UP government or UP DISCOM was allow smaller bidders promote local system, ecosystem. So you can have in ITIs, you can have a designated courses where the maintenance of solar project, installation of solar project, special courses are there, or skilled under those skill development scheme or something like that, so that we can get the manpower, not for the erection also, but for the maintenance of those projects for 25 years. One more important thing, sir, I would like to mention is the battery energy storage system for this type of projects. I would like to request all the DISCOMs that whenever you are coming with the BESS storage, BESS tender, you just prefer the BESS tender for such a small distributed utility projects, because everything is ready there. Metering is ready, everything is ready. Whenever you will need that peak power, they will not generate the solar, so the grid is also ready, it is vacantly available, staff is there, so they have to just install one container and connect it to that particular system. So they can do it at a very much cheaper rate rather than installing a battery in a big way, 500 megawatt hour or 1000 megawatt hour at some central place, and just losing 20% of the energy in that T&D losses. So that can, if that is happens, sir, it will create an energy swaraj. Means the daytime power will be there, excess power will be stored, and the same power will be utilized in the night. So it will be like 100%, a small kasba bhi अपने आप में power independent हो जाएगा सर. This will enhance the grid stability. And one more simple request to all DISCOM, just ensure timely bill and central financial assistance payments, so that the developers who have trusted you, who have trusted the scheme, they just continue to trust all these things. Thank you, sir. Thank you for inviting me. I am obliged that you all give me the opportunity to come here. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We now get Mr. Ranveer Prasad.
Good afternoon. As speakers before me are mentioning about solar projects, तो जो यूपी ट्रांसमिशन कॉरपोरेशन है, it is geared up for upcoming transition towards RE. It is one of the largest transmission company, in fact I would say the largest company of this country. और ट्रांसमिशन सक्सेसफुल है या नहीं, उसका एक सिंपल टेस्ट है कि इट शुड बी एज एफर्टलेस एज ब्रीदिंग. We do not feel that we are breathing, but it is there, and it is, and we survive. We are living, but we don't know we are breathing. That is how also transmission generation और distribution को connect करता है, but we should not feel that it is there. It should be as smooth as effortless. उसके लिए बैकग्राउंड में काफ़ी काम हुआ है. ट्रांसमिशन की जो कैपेसिटी बनी है यूपी में, इट्स ट्रिमेंडस. और जो सोलर और अदर आरई प्रोजेक्ट्स टुवर्ड्स ट्रांजिशन है, उसके लिए भी वी आर ऑल गियर्ड अप. तो जो यूपीपीटीसीएल है, इट्स एसटीयू also, so it is licensee also, and apart from that through TBCB our other licensee have also come into picture, and they are contributing to the network. So जो हमारा जो अभी नेटवर्क है, टोटल सब 693 सब स्टेशंस हैं, जिसमें जो हमारी टोटल जो MVA है 194,685, और जो डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन पर जो हम लोग डिलीवर कर रहे हैं लगभग 70,000 प्लस है MVA. तो दिस टाइम एज मेंशन्ड अर्लियर बाय चेयरमैन सर कि हम लोग इस बार हम लोगों ने रिकॉर्ड जो इंडिया में सबसे ज़्यादा जो कैपेसिटी हम लोगों ने हैंडल किया 30,618 मेगावाट. तो दैट वाज because transmission had the capacity, और जिस तरह से हमारी डिमांड बढ़ रही है, आवर जो प्लानिंग है ट्रांसमिशन का, उसी ढंग से हम लोग प्लान भी कर रहे हैं कि आगे जो हमारा एनुअल ग्रोथ रेट अराउंड 6% है, उसको हम लोग वी शैल बी एबल टू मीट. As I mentioned, we have achieved, we became the first in the country to meet the peak demand in terms of capacity. जो जहाँ तक आरी की तरफ ट्रांजिशन की बात है, अभी यूपी में अराउंड 2500 मेगावाट के सोलर प्लांट्स इंस्टॉल्ड हैं, जो कि 33 या 132 से कनेक्टेड हैं. और जो प्लानिंग है कुल 14 गीगावाट तक पहुंचने की यहाँ यूपी में, जो नेडा प्लान कर रहा है. उसके अलावा यूपीपीसीएल जो है, उनके आरपीओ हैं, उसके थ्रू वो बाहर से भी आरी लेंगे, उसको भी हमें अपने नेटवर्क के थ्रू कंज्यूमर्स तक पहुंचाना है. तो उसके अलावा पंप स्टोरेज प्लांट्स आ रहे हैं अराउंड सोनभद्र, सोन नदी बेसिन और एडजॉइनिंग एरिया में, जो दैट इज़ ऑल्सो अराउंड 14 गीगावाट्स. उसके अलावा बैटरी स्टोरेज होगी. तो इन चीज़ों के लिए ट्रांसमिशन कैपेसिटी हमें प्लान करनी है. दिस इज़ आरपीओ ऑफ यूपीपीसीएल, जो कि ये अचीव करेंगे भविष्य में. जो 14,000 मेगावाट जो प्लान्ड है टोटल यूपी में सोलर का, मोस्टली इन बुंदेलखंड एरिया, एंड इट ऑल्सो गो टू मिर्ज़ापुर, सोनभद्र, क्योंकि वहाँ लैंड अवेलेबल है. और लैंड की प्लानिंग और कैपेसिटी प्लानिंग उसी ढंग से की गई है, जिससे कि हम 14,000 का अचीव हो जाए. तो जो अभी 2,500 मेगावाट हमारा है, वो इट्स मेनली कनेक्टेड टू आवर एग्जिस्टिंग सब स्टेशंस. बट टू कैटर टू न्यू सोलर प्लांट्स, वी हैव ज्वाइंट GEC2, वी आर एस्टैब्लिशिंग ग्रीन एनर्जी कॉरिडोर, जो उसमें हमें भारत सरकार से ग्रांट मिली है 33% MNRA की. उसके अलावा लोन है. और इसके तहत हम 4,000 मेगावाट की कुल पावर इवैक्यूएशन कैपेसिटी क्रिएट कर रहे हैं बुंदेलखंड रीजन में, जिसमें कुल जो प्रोजेक्ट कॉस्ट है 5,375. और वी हैव अवार्डेड एक्सेप्ट वन ऑल द पैकेजेज. और काम तेज़ी से चल रहा है. अगले साल तक most of this capacity will be available. ये जो इवैक्यूएशन है, इसमें जो नेडा प्रोमोटेड सोलर पार्क्स हैं, जो MNRE के मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ MNRE के सहयोग से जो डेवलप हो रही हैं, उनको कैटर करेगी. उसके अलावा जो प्राइवेट सेक्टर से जो इंडिपेंडेंट प्लांट लगा रहे हैं, उनके लिए भी ये यूज़फुल होगा. इसमें कुल 21 सब स्टेशंस हैं, जिसमें 765 भी है, 400 भी है, 200 भी है, 220 भी है, 132 भी है. और वी आर ऑल्सो इंश्योरिंग, इसमें इम्पॉर्टेंट पॉइंट है कि हम लोग ISTS में भी कनेक्टिविटी इंश्योर कर रहे हैं कि वी हैव कनेक्टिविटी टू एग्जिस्टिंग पावर ग्रिड सब स्टेशंस ऑल्सो. सो एनीबडी हु कैन वांट टू transport power outside the state also can use that route to take it outside the state. ये बुंदेलखंड में ललितपुर, झांसी, बांदा, महोबा, जालौन, इन डिस्ट्रिक्ट्स में ये सब स्टेशंस स्प्रेड हैं इवेनली. और इनकी लोकेशंस हम लोगों ने ये उसका नेटवर्क है पूरा. और एज यू वुड सी, इट्स quite well connected to each and every node. So आप कहीं भी लगाएंगे तो कहीं से कहीं पावर आपको ट्रांसमिट करने में कोई दिक्कत नहीं होगी. तो these are the locations we have shared. ये उनके लिए है जो डेवलपर्स हैं, सोलर प्लांट लगाना चाहते हैं. They can identify the location for their future plant based on the location of our upcoming substations. ये अभी तक लोगों ने इंटेंट दिया. इसमें आई वुड लाइक टू मेंशन वन थिंग, कि कुछ लोग होर्डिंग करना चाहते हैं, जैसे ट्रांसमिशन कैपेसिटी का. बहुत पहले जब दे डिडंट हैव इवन परचेज लैंड, उन्होंने एप्लीकेशन देकर कैपेसिटी अलॉट करा दिया. उस होर्डिंग से क्या होता है कि कुछ जॉम्बी प्रोजेक्ट्स आ जाते हैं, जो पेपर में तो है उनके पास कैपेसिटी, लेकिन उन्होंने दूसरों को लगता है कि कैपेसिटी खत्म हो गई है. आई वुड लाइक टू रिइटरेट दैट देयर इज सफिशिएंट कैपेसिटी अवेलेबल फॉर एवरीबडी. एनीबडी हु वांट्स टू सेट अप ए सोलर प्लांट, उनके लिए ट्रांसमिशन विल नॉट बी ए बॉटलनेक. कहीं भी कितनी भी कैपेसिटी का लगा सकते हैं, तो उनके लिए हम लोग ट्रांसमिशन की कनेक्टिविटी इजीली अवेलेबल करा देंगे. इसलिए दे कैन प्लान देयर फ्यूचर इन्वेस्टमेंट ईजिली. ये सब कुछ डिटेल्स हैं जो आज अभी लोगों ने जो लैंड परचेज की जो स्टेटस है, और फ्यूचर इज़ क्वाइट ब्राइट. काफ़ी लोग इसमें इंटरेस्टेड हैं. इसके अलावा जो सोलर के अलावा जो जैसा बताया गया कि BESS बैटरी एनर्जी स्टोरेज सिस्टम इज वन अदर सेक्टर. UPPCL ने भी इसके लिए बिड निकाला है, और उसमें हमारे जो ट्रांसमिशन के सब स्टेशंस हैं जहाँ पर लैंड अवेलेबल है, वहीं पर मोस्टली ये जो BESS कैन बी इस्टेब्लिश्ड सो दैट ट्रांसमिशन लॉसेस कैन बी मिनिमाइज्ड. उसके अलावा जो पंप स्टोरेज PSPs की बात मैंने बताई थी, ये 14 गीगावाट ये प्राइवेट डेवलपर्स ला रहे हैं. तो दे हैव मोस्टली दे वांट कनेक्टिविटी थ्रू ISTS, बट वेयर एवर रिक्वायर्ड वी शैल ऑल्सो कैन प्रोवाइड कनेक्टिविटी थ्रू STU. ये उसमें कुछ डिटेल्स हैं. RE जनरेशन के साथ कुछ चीज़ें और प्रॉब्लम्स होती हैं ग्रिड बैलेंसिंग में. जिस 4 घंटे की बिजली आती है दिन में, उसके बाद धीरे धीरे टैपर करता है, तो फिर हार्मोनिक्स, वोल्टेज सैग, फ्लक्चुएशंस इत्यादि की इश्यूज आती हैं. और शेड्यूल एंड डिस्पैच इज विल बिकम ए बिग प्रॉब्लम वंस दिस जनरेशन बिकम सब्सटेंशियल. तो उसको टैकल करने के लिए SLDC में रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी मैनेजमेंट सेंटर इस्टेब्लिश होगा, जो कि शेड्यूल एंड डिस्पैच ऑफ RE को एक्सक्लूसिवली मैनेज करेगा. एंड विद द असिस्टेंस ऑफ GUI वेरी सून वी विल हैव दिस सेंटर इन प्लेस. उस पर काम होना शुरू होगा. उसके अलावा हम SLDC को भी अपग्रेड कर रहे हैं, जो कि फ्यूचर में, क्योंकि वी विल रिक्वायर लॉट ऑफ रियल टाइम डेटा फॉर शेड्यूल एंड डिस्पैच. उसके अलावा ग्रिड स्टेबिलिटी भी एक, वाइल वी आर प्लानिंग फॉर RE जनरेशन, वी शुड ऑल्सो लुक आफ्टर आवर ग्रिड. Intermittent power has its own problems, so solarization is a good for grid, क्योंकि ये लोड सेंटर के पास है. इसी तरह से हमें we have to manage our generators so that there is a proper balance. उसके अलावा रैंप अप, जो हमारी रैंपिंग अप एबिलिटीज़ हैं, उसको जो थर्मल पावर प्लांट्स हैं, टेक्निकल मिनिमम को अभी 55% तक हमारा है, उसको 40% तक लाना है. और उसके बाद रैंप अप की जो स्पीड है उसको बढ़ाना है. दैट इज़ ऑल्सो ए ह्यूज टेक्निकल चैलेंज. वो धीरे धीरे करके एक प्लांट्स को हम लोग यहाँ पर अचीव करने का प्रयास कर रहे हैं. उसके अलावा स्टैटकॉम है, और एक जो हम लोग वी आर सीरियसली कंसिडरिंग दैट ईच ट्रांसमिशन जो सब स्टेशन है, उस पर हम एक बेस रखें जो विच विल नॉट ओनली एक्ट एज ए सोर्स ऑफ पावर बट ऑल्सो एज ए ग्रिड स्टेबलाइजर. टू इन टर्म्स ऑफ समटाइम्स देयर इज एन आउटेज, इट कैन वर्क एज जो ग्रिड को स्टेबल करने में हार्मोनिक्स और फिर रिएक्टिव पावर कंपनसेशन के लिए भी इसका यूज कर सकते हैं. तो इसके बारे में हम लोग टेक्निकल स्टडी कर रहे हैं, एंड वी विल कम आउट विद ए सॉल्यूशन. थैंक यू ऑल.
Next we have Mr. Dhruv Suri. Sorry, we have also a co-speaker, Mohak Mangal. I hope you will stick to your time between the two of you. If you don't get 20 minutes.
Don't worry, sir. You will do it? No. Oh, okay. Namaste, everyone. मेरा नाम मोहक है, and this is Dhruv, and we are really excited to be here. Dhruv is a PhD candidate at Stanford in energy science. First session में हमारी बात हो रही थी that creativity happens at the intersection of two fields, and I think Dhruv exemplifies that. His research is focused on applications of AI and power systems. He was also the first machine learning engineer at Google X's startup called Tapestry, which is Google's moonshot for the electric grid. And he worked for the Ministry of Power as well. My background is in economics. मैंने पहले बिहार में काम किया with the Poverty Action Lab on agricultural productivity. फिर म्यांमार में World Bank के लिए काम किया on trade policy. And before I did my MBA from Stanford, and I also run a YouTube channel on Indian society. तो हमने solarization के बारे में बात सुनी. While there's a lot of potential and opportunity as well, it is creating complexities and making life slightly difficult for DISCOMs. So the first thing is that there is demand-side variability. India will be one of the largest air conditioner markets in the next 10-20 years. And अगर आप Delhi का भी load curve देखेंगे, it is shifting and the peak is now coming at 1 a.m. So there would be a lot of variability on the demand side. The second thing that was spoken about as well is the intermittency of renewables, which leads to a lot of more challenges, for example, in forecasting. और आप 4 problems देख ही सकते हैं कि solarization से जो हो रही है, renewable integration, which is inefficient dispatch, unreliable power, in some extreme cases even load shedding, and inefficient revenue collection. Now the question is कि इसका solution क्या है?
So we solve for this by using AI to build both distribution and capacity expansion models for real-time operations and short and long-term planning. So the first fundamental step of this is to create a Google Maps of the electric grid. What infrastructure exists where, what assets are located where, are they performing fine? Gather all of this data from utilities and DISCOMs and put it on a map. The second step is we build state-of-the-art demand and renewable generation forecast models. We've already done this through Google, already done this for multiple geographies across the world, need to do the same for India. The third step is production cost models. And each of these 3 form a building block that we call the grid intelligence platform. The output of this is 4 things. One is least cost optimized dispatch. So what generators are being scheduled where, this is done in security constrained way. Second one is 24/7 uptime of the grid. Third one is load flow analysis. So injections, withdrawals at the primary and secondary feeder level. And the fourth step is these 3 enable efficient revenue connection, all done digitally and in a systematic way. This has been done. So while I was working at Google and over the course of the 4 years of my PhD, we did this with Chile's Minister of Energy and the system operator. So for those of you who have seen the geography, Chile is a very long country. They were integrating a lot of wind and solar. So right now, 30% of Chile's generation is from wind and solar. And so the system operator obviously was getting concerned about how do we forecast, what is the net demand forecast going to be for the next day and the week ahead. So we did 2 things for them. On the left, you see demand and generation forecasts. Our forecast error was about 1.5% for the day ahead market and 4% for a week ahead market. So we were able to forecast not only just a few seconds or a few minutes or a few hours out, but 10 days out in a very accurate way. The second step was doing real-time operations and planning at the hourly level for the week to a decade into the future. And both of these things have been implemented by the system operator in the control room. So things that I think the main goal of this was, can we build machine learning models? Can we use AI? And can we actually deploy it in the control room? And we did all of this in 90 days. So really fast turnaround time. And that just, it's catalytic for every other geography that we work in.
Yeah, I think one thing that we need to realize is also that Chile is not India. India's challenges are unique. The governance structure is unique. What India needs is a 4-tiered solution. Imagine like एक vada pav and you have different layers. So the first layer, जिसके बारे में बात भी हुई थी session में, which is creating the Google Maps for the Indian grid. I think in the second session, I forget the name of the speaker, he was talking about कि कैसे हमें एक digital map बनाना है asset mapping करने के लिए. And that is the first layer. Second layer, फिर जब वो हमें map पता चल जाएगा, then we can do demand and generation forecast. to understand, okay, what would happen to the grid based on variance in weather and so on and so forth. Once you have the forecast, then what it enables you to do is real-time load flow analysis. कि injection कितना होगा, withdrawal कितना होगा, and then the last is the outcome. इधर हमने AT&C loss reduction रखा है, but like I think it unlocks many use cases. For example, just power generation. अगर आपका demand forecast अच्छा है, then your generation forecast would also be better, which means that the likelihood of a penalty would be lower. So Dhruv and I are really excited about the Indian electricity grid. Honorable Prime Minister said that by 2047, India needs to achieve the developed country status. I think what people outside India don't realize is that if India does so, it will be the first country in the world which did it while ramping up renewables. If anything, UK, US, and Europe had it easy. उन्होंने तो coal plants लगा दिए. That is a luxury India doesn't have. Now that means it's going to be much more challenging for India, but I think it also means that there are a lot of opportunities. So in fact, I was speaking to someone who works as a load dispatch center, और वो बोल रहे थे कि हमारे यहाँ forecasting manual होती है. वो देखते हैं कि पिछले साल कितना generation forecast था and इस साल कितना होना चाहिए. But there are tools available with AI/ML that you can improve your forecasting much better. So I think excitement comes कि बहुत low-hanging fruits है, whether you look at forecast, whether you look at digitization. So अगर if any of you, this is a priority जो हमने बात करी, or this excites you, over the next 2 days, we would love to speak to you and learn from you. Sir ने हमारे number हटा दिए, पर शक्ल तो hopefully आपको याद होगी, and then you can please approach us. ठीक है, कोई बात नहीं. Thank you so much.
Anyway, before the next speaker comes up, in the western part of the grid, there has been 6 occurrences of 7,000 megawatt excursions due to solar itself. So if you could reconnect with them, maybe if Nareji Pillai also can help, and tell them you will solve that problem, because they are planning to build thermal power plants as a counterbalance to what those excursions are, and those excursions came very close to stability limits. So anyway, that's one thought. Okay. So our next speaker will be Mr. Arvind Singh.
Yeah, good afternoon. So this subject about technological interventions and operational efficiency, I don't know how it fits into the overall topic of this panel discussion, but I'll quickly go through this and then take you to the experience of Odisha as a state with PM Kusum. So we'll talk about innovative technologies, operational efficiency and consumer engagement in Odisha. Basically the 4 Tata Power DISCOMs. This is the journey of Odisha with the distribution reforms. They tried once earlier in 1999, worked partly successful, then finally it all came to Reliance, and then Reliance was also revoked, license was revoked. And finally now all 4 DISCOMs from 2020 are with Tata Power. TPCL was the first to begin, followed by WODL West, South and North. So this is how the decision is of 4 DISCOMs, something similar to UP, but only thing you don't have North over here, we don't have East over there. But otherwise 4 DISCOMs, size are slightly smaller. So the entire Odisha state has got 95 lakh consumers. Distributor of these, what you should see the AT&C loss, but the point to be noted is the provisional billing that was there at that time. Now this number is in single digit, as shown in the morning by Dr. Sinha, is around 6.7%. And AT&C losses overall have reduced by 9 to 10%. This is how it looks like at the end of FY24. And we have in the vesting order targets set for 10 years. The worst is TPSODL, which is expected to come below 15% by the end of 10 years. So, yeah. So what was initially done was setting up a power system control center in all 4 DISCOMs. SCADA was implemented, followed by distribution management system, OMS, the complete ADMS is in service right now. For operational reasons and safety reasons, we have got QR code based device identification. This helps in knowing where the person is operating, especially in large geographies. We also have 82 unmanned substations already there, which helps us in operating mobile operations crew. Is a model we borrowed from TPDDL. GIS is fully implemented in all 4 DISCOMs and also integrated with SCADA, energy audit, network planning. SAP was commissioned initially in the first 1 year. Then we have lots of applications there. Mobidu's application was existing earlier, now improvised. Robotic process automation, a bit about automation as well as artificial intelligence integrated. MMG app for new installations. We have spot billing, collection from every consumer. Smart meters implemented, numbers were told today morning. Collection app, because we have to collect door to door, unlike other states where people pay. GCMS is a thing which has been done by the IT team. It's a government collection management system app. There's also a portal on this. This is something done first time. We were not able to collect from Panchayati Raj and drinking water consumers. So every Panchayat, Gram Panchayat is mapped here, and the money has started flowing in now. Disconnection order, there's another app, and enforcement, again, a app. So totally covered by technology. Suraksha app is more of operations as well as safety. FCC app is Fuse Call. So the moment you call up the call center, it gets connected to the Fuse Call Center app. And then now we have also introduced a missed call. So you can any individual out of 94 lakh consumers can give a missed call, gets connected to FCC app, and he gets a confirmation that his complaint has been registered. TPCO Mitra app is a standard consumer app on which you can pay, you can get your notifications of outages. Business associates, we have a huge number of people in AMC, metering, billing, collection. Just TPCODL has got around 16,000. Overall, we have around 50,000 BS. They are controlled through the business management app. Sigitech is another thing using AI. Invoice management, you upload the invoice. It can scan, find out what is the balance and make payments. This is the Suraksha Kavach which I was talking about. This was necessary because most of the equipment were not, names were not existing. We ensured that people who are authorized to take, they are all entered in Suraksha app. Every person registered there who can take 33 kV, 11 kV, and they can get their alerts. Individuals at site can get alerts of which outage has been approved. This is live monitoring of cyclones, another technology used for monitoring the cyclones. So GIS, we map the track of the cyclone on this, and then we can predict which division, which section is going to impact, and then you can prepare accordingly. This was done very successfully with the Ana cyclone, which hit Odisha just a couple of weeks back. You can actually also know the speed at which it will hit a particular section. They can prepare it as per that. And you can also predict what will be impacted by the cyclone. This is another new thing that we have done. Based on the GIS, we can geofence a particular feeder, and anybody approaching a wrong feeder, he can get an alert based on the field map enabled. So the thing which is being implemented across all 4 DISCOMs. So as long as it's red, if you enter, you get an alert in the control room. You can warn the person not to go there. When it turns green, then you can probably start working there. That means the line is taken out. So basically these 4 DISCOMs had a lot of breakdown maintenance being done, no planned maintenance. So now we have got a planned maintenance, periodic maintenance done, material being procured. We have certain SAP systems, module. We know how much material is required. We've done a detailed network study. CapEx is mandatory as per vesting order that is being spent. Specifications it was discussed early in the morning. Standardization of specifications that is being done. Safety has got a big focus, and we have really traversed a long distance on that. I talked about the FCC app. Now, this FCC app is actually, it can give an alert at the time of registering the complaint, and then the time it will take to take care of the complaint, and finally, once the complaint is attended. This is another novel thing, is model Gram Panchayat. We have, each DISCOM has taken 100 Gram Panchayats, and then we make sure that there's how to reduce the AT&C losses, no provisional bills, zero bill dispute, no meter complaints attended, 100% billing coverage, collection coverage, and unauthorized taking eliminated. And then we see that the collection, somebody asked how the collection can be improved. This is one way of improving collection in villages. So consumer engagement, call centers, some innovative actions have been taken. On the right-hand side, you have a social media. So we also attend complaints not through call centers, but also through Twitter. So complaints received on Twitter or any social media, they're captured, responded within 7 minutes, and we also tell them how soon we'll close. Digitalization, another thing that we have done, a lot of digital literacy in rural areas. Now almost 35% of the consumers pay digitally. Of course, the regulator helps by giving 4% rebate on that. So as we can see, customer satisfaction has increased. It used to be around 60%, now 88%. Now coming to the experience of Odisha with PM Kusum, not been very successful. Kusum A, it was originally with Orida. The feed-in tariff was 308. Nobody was interested. They wanted 333, not approved by OERC. So today it has come to the DISCOMs, and on the tender we have got 440. Now, still with the OERC, if they approve this, then on a bucket filling method, they might go for 20 megawatt. Then we'll see how we proceed. But a lot has to be learned from other states. Kusum A has not taken off. So these numbers have not materialized so far. We are waiting for OERC directive to come. On Kusum C, again, the farmers, the tariff is 1 rupee 50 paise, and the farmers are not interested because the benchmark rates are much less than the market rates, and that CFA and SFA of 30%, they're part of 10%, they are not ready to pay. So a lot of discussions happening at government level, certain policy changes will be required, but as things stand today, this is another job and pending. And feeder level solarization, if you see, there are only 4 feeders in whole of Odisha which are 100% agriculture. The rest of them are 70% or below that. So I think a lot of interventions are still required. Probably, as I mentioned earlier, we'll learn from other states, and then we have to see how to take care of PM Solar in Odisha. Thank you.
At the end of the formal presentations, we now have about 4 discussants. You can either have a presentation, if you have, you can have it for 5 minutes each, or you could discuss it when your turn comes up. I call your name to be able to discuss what you think from your perspective can be implemented or challenges that has not been spoken about. So with that, I call on Mr. S.R. Pandey.
Considering the different, good afternoon to everybody. We have seen the different presentations made by the dignitaries, and we see that the Prime Minister, our topic is Prime Minister Kusum Urja Suraksha Utthan Abhiyaan. So key center is a Kisan. Farmer is the key center in whole schemes provided by the Government of India. And 2 things are important objectives. One is security of energy, and second thing is improvement of lifestyle of the farmers. And for those, this scheme has been introduced. And we see that A, B, C, 3 type of components are provided. A is particularly individual based solarization, B is for the off-grid, and C having 2 components. First is farmer who can set up his plant by capex mode, and B is RESCO mode, where the individual developer can develop the plants. So we also see that in C part also very few work has been carried out, and few project has been comes. we see that in C part only, feeder-wise solarization taken place. In Gujarat, we see that about 1300 megawatt plant has been planned out at present to provide electricity through solarization feeder of 2,500, about 2,500 feeders, and where the different competitive bidding taken place and it is approved by the commissions. In first bidding, we found that the tariff rate is discovered at ₹3. But thereafter, 2 or 3 bidding also taken place where the rate has been found between ₹2.05, 10 paisa to ₹2.65, and in some part of the state it is found ₹3 also. So we found that particularly as competitive bidding has been taken place, number of players is also increasing and people are showing their interest also. And it seems that the feeder-wise solarization taken place by the developers is in most of the part of our state also. At present, about more than 550 megawatt solar plant is already commissioned. In Gujarat, this has been started in 2018-19 where distributed solar generation plants has been set up to 4 megawatt and they can set up at 66 kV connect at 66 kV substation at 11 kV sites. So the power supply which has been taken place from the generating plants of solar is directly fed to the feeder level of 11 kV and it is consumed in that area. If any surplus power is available, then it will go to the grids. So important part in this solarization system is that to optimize use of distribution network, which is 11 kV or 22 kV or 33 kV, depending on the system of the distribution systems. So in Gujarat, it is 11 kV. So most of the plants are connected and used in such a way that at 11 kV, all generation will be absorbed. Only surplus power is which is available, that will be injected into the grid. And that will be helpful to avoid the cost of creation of the transmission systems and avoid the grid instability due to the created RE generations. And this is the main focus of this PM Kusum Yojana. We found that it is also having two types of different challenges also, because in Gujarat, 4 DISCOMs are operating. One is Paschim Gujarat, one Dakshin Gujarat, one Madhya Gujarat, and one Uttar Gujarat. And all DISCOMs are having different patterns of the crops and seasonal variance in the load also. I give an example, in PGVCL, the maximum demand in agriculture sector happened in month of September and to November, September, October and November. These are the peak times where the demand is required. Similarly, in Madhya Gujarat, it will be in January and February. We found that the solar generation is not uniform. It will vary from season to season and month to month also. So whenever the solar requirement is agriculture power requirement in PGVCL in September, October, and November, at that time solar generation is not sufficient available, then that may be made through the solar generation which may be taken place in different part of the states, that is MGVCL or PGVCL. So grid come in picture where the transmission loss also come in picture and transmission charge also come in picture. So by way of, we say that it is ₹3 paisa, but transmission charge with consideration of CA of 19%, it will be 78 paisa to ₹1 depending on the size of the plant and depend on that things. So we have to add that part also. So the we cannot able to say that at present that the solar generation which has been taken place in one part is sufficient to meet out that local area requirement. It may vary on season to season, but it is also ensure that the generation which is available from solar is naturally below the cost of highest power purchase by the distribution licenses. So net saving may be vary from time to time and season to seasons. So this is one of the important challenge which required to be considered by the when we are deciding or we are planning for the solarizations. Second thing I found that people are saying that we have to set up the battery and surplus power which is available that can be set up used for battery charging and that may be used for the different time of the day when it is the requirement. But we have to see the limitation of the battery also. Maximum battery limitation working in 20% to 80%. So working capability is 60% of the total capacity of the plant, battery capacities. It is minimum you go up to 20% and thereafter charge 80%, 85%, but not 100%. If you charge 100%, it will degrade your battery very fast. So that is having limitations. But with consideration of rural economics, we found that biomass, bagasse, cow ducts, and other different products are available in the village level. So in spite of going to battery, if we go by hybrid of solar and biomass or bagasse, depending on the availability of different residues of the agricultures, that will be helpful. And it is in cluster basis also. In 5 village or 10 village, we can set up one plant of biomass with particularly solar generations. So that hybrid power plant provide electricity more than 70 to 80% of the agricultural requirement in that area. And surplus power which is available, that may be fed into the grids. So avoiding the surplus power into the grid is beneficial only if we are using solar power plant, because it will reduce your operational cost as well as also other things also. Second thing that we found that the benefit is that as these plants are situated in separate mode in 4 megawatt, 5 megawatt, 1 megawatt, 2 megawatt. So whenever the cloud comes and it affects solar generation and it affects on the grid parameters, just like a 100 megawatt plant, if big cloud comes, then generation will be suddenly reduced and it affects voltage and frequency of that area of power supply from that plant. In spite of that, such type of project, such type of problem may be eliminated. But the challenge is that O&M cost, because 1 megawatt, 2 megawatt or 4 megawatt plant, challenge is that what is the cost? Because 100 megawatt plant or 200 megawatt plant, your operation and maintenance cost is quite lower. In this case, the operation and maintenance cost is quite higher. So we have to see that, ensure that after 5 years, 10 years or 15 years, because solar panels are degraded at 1% or 2% and it will be reduced up to 20% also. So if proper planning is, proper maintenance and operation is not taken place, that plant will be not functioning proper way. And in that situation, after 10 years or 15 years, what are the problems of non-availability of solar generation? So it is also required to ensure that the solar generation which has been planned, that will be available. Only the penalties are not a cause or not a reasons that we can, by incorporating the bids or documents or in the power purchase agreement, that will save to us. But we have to also ensure that the availability of solar generation may be ensured available for 25 years, which is emphasized in the systems while providing the projects. Similarly, for that also some cluster-based operation and maintenance team is created. That will be helpful to avoid the operation and maintenance cost also. Solar generation, solar plants are very helpful so far as Kusum Yojana is concerned. That will be helpful for grid security point of view, because your requirement of the high cost power is reduced to that extent. It will also helpful to reduce the transmission network creations, which lead to provide agriculture sectors. I have studied one of the carried out some studies and found that by way of use this such type of scheme or small scale distributed solar generations, we can avoid the subsidy which has been provided by the high paying capacity consumer, that is industrial consumer or commercial consumers. And government is also benefited because the subsidy level will be moved down. And if 100% or 90% or 70% solarization taken place, cheaper power available for the supply to the agriculture sectors, it will also helpful to reduce the cross subsidy surcharge payable by the agri consumers as well as commercial consumers. And it will helpful to reduce their power cost of generation, cost of productions, and also helpful to compete in the international market as well as domestic market for their product also. So these are my observations so far as the solar plant is concerned. Now coming to the operational efficiencies and distribution management side is concerned, that now AI we see that artificial intelligence are available and it having different options and analytical tools, because we are getting huge data, but by way of carrying out analysis on numerical base, it is very difficult. So AI is providing the support systems where we can easily and very fastly analyze the real-time data as well as the data which is gathered from the different systems. It will helpful to reduce, provide the voltage stability, frequency stability, network planning, asset management, and all different options are available. So application of AI also helpful to reduce your outages, all the identify the defects which is prevailing in your systems, where by way of providing your robotics tools or programming, you can identify where is the defect and within how many milliseconds or seconds that can be cured by supply from different sections of the plant or different sections of the ring of systems which has been created by the distribution network. So it will helpful to avoid the breakdown of the generating stations. It will helpful to the distribution optimize their assets. It will also helpful to maximize their revenue by the distribution license. So AI is one of the important tools which is not available, which can be used by people for their or DISCOMs for efficiency as well as operational management sites. Thank you.
Now, over to Mr. Jetani.
Thank you. At present, we have around 3 crore agricultural pumps in the country. 2.2 crores are the electric and around 80 lakhs are the diesel pumps. The agricultural consumption is around 230 billion units, which is around 18% of the total electricity consumption. And the subsidy that is being given by the states for providing either free or the subsidized electricity consumption for the agriculture is order of 1,60,000 crore, and around 14,000 crore is the UP, and around 23 or 24,000 is the Maharashtra. So we have seen the examples of the presentation, and while when we initiated the PM Kusum scheme, the target was to provide the farmers daytime reliable power. Because even by giving so much subsidy, the farmers are still not satisfied. They were demanding that we should provide the quality power, we should provide the reliable power and the daytime. And also, on the other hand, the distribution companies are bleeding because of the financial losses. So the purpose of Kusum scheme was that, initially there was no feeder level solarization. In component C, only the individual pump solarization was there, wherein it says that 2 times of the solar capacity will be provided to the farmer. He will install at their own field near the pump so that he can run his own pump and also feed the surplus power to the grid, so that he can also earn money from them. But neither the state nor the farmer was ready to contribute the 30% or 40% of their share. So that's why we have innovated and we came out with this feeder level solarization. And the guidelines were issued in December 20 itself. However, it took around 2 to 3 years to convince the states. Of course, the Maharashtra was the leader one. They were earlier in having this Mukhyamantri Swar Krishi Vani, which is similar to the component C. And slowly they understood about the benefits of the feeder level solarization. Still, there were apprehensions related to how many pumps we can consider under the feeder level solarization, how much capacity, how to calculate the total consumption, and related to whether we can go with a single feeder or multiple feeder or on 11 kV or 33 kV. So we have given them time to time clarification on such issues. And later they also learned a lot, and I would say that Maharashtra and Gujarat are the leader one in the implementation of the feeder level solarization. What I have felt that in implementation of Kusum C, if the distribution company can provide land and the transmission, in the sense the right of way and other issues, these are the two major challenges when you implement any solar plant. So if you provide the land, if you provide the transmission, then it is very easy, and of course the timely payment and regulatory approvals. So these are the 2-3 hurdles which I feel that has to be addressed by the distribution company. If it is so, then it will be better. And I think the Maharashtra and the Gujarat example we have seen, they have removed these hurdles, and with that they are progressing very well. Thank you.
Last but certainly not least, Anand, invitation.
Thank you, Ravi. I'd like to look at this from a slightly different angle. We look at innovation, we look at introduction of new technologies, we look at solving problems, but at the end of the day, we are looking at a grid that is a continuum. Utilities know their feeders. Utilities know their grid very well. The operators know what they're dealing with. The challenge very often is how is the change that is being introduced adding to the complexity of an already complex grid. I think this was discussed earlier, right? So an example in a case study, I got a phone call this is from a utility which had a predominant agricultural base. There were several issues going on, and just like in medicine, in engineering also we do a deduction based on cross-correlation. One problem that they were dealing with was these were long radial feeders, and maintaining voltage on their feeders, doing classic line drop compensation was not working out for them. The second problem was every time when these pumps came on, they had the ability to manage voltage using cap banks and voltage regulators, but maintaining stability was becoming an increasing challenge. Third, around the same time, the utility was also joining the new market, the energy imbalance market created in California by CalISO. That meant they had to increase the granularity of metering at the substation level. Fourth, and as I'm adding these complexities, just hear me out, because it's not just one problem happening in all the places across their grid for the utility, and it's also across all the feeders, and it's also not that the same problem doesn't repeat itself very often. The fourth was transformers were blowing up. Now you may wonder, why are these transformers blowing up? Well, this was summer, right? And transformers were already stressed. So as these pumps were coming on, this was having impact on the transformers. So distribution transformers were blowing up across the utility territory. And so when they approached us, one of the first things we always tend to do is we look at the grid as a whole. And that was one of the areas where I believe we could have done better, which is looking at the problem, one problem at a time, and looking at isolating the feeders and looking at the feeders one feeder at a time. See, what is the exact problem, right? And so, as we set about solving this problem, one more thing I forgot. Just to add to yet another variable here, the utility was having, the interconnection team of the utility that I was working with, they were already reporting a deluge of interconnection requests, which means that there was a lot of providers, IPP providers, joining the network, providing solar technologies and feeding power into the grid. And so as we set about, two more variables that, I forgot to tell you this, right? The geospatial network that the utility was using, which I call as the holy grail of the network, which should be electrically, geographically, and temporally correct, was about 30% accurate. And last but not the least, they were going through an advanced distribution management system upgrade. Why am I saying all these things? Because that is the real life scenario in the world with utilities and distribution upgrades going on, right? There is modernization going on, there is digitalization going on. So these are all these variables that we were dealing with. And I think one of the ways we went about solving the problem was leveraging the most valuable asset that the utility had, which is data. So what we did was, first and foremost, we did a cost-benefit analysis. We analyzed the feeders. We isolated 1 or 2 feeders where we could do a couple of pilots and a proof of concept. A proof of concept was first done in the lab. And one proof of concept was isolating some of these solar sources when there were disturbances. Because, as I mentioned earlier, not every problem happened everywhere, right? So one problem was a direct transfer trip solution, right? Solving that one problem. When the transformer overloaded, because of increased solar production on that particular feeder, we would do a direct transfer trip, isolate the solar source, and manage the rest of that particular feeder using other techniques available. The second issue was studying these feeders and understanding in each of these feeders what was the root causes and what was the root problems, right? The third was selecting a mix of technologies. And in some cases, it was a combination of implementing a temporary or a localized volt VAR CVR solution at the substation level. In some cases, it was implementing the direct transfer trip solution in coordination with an advanced distribution system at a local level. And then we went on to proceed to prioritize in case of these use cases and then test them one by one. Did it solve every problem? No. But what it taught us, just like analytics does, it gave us answers to the complexity of the problem. And that is the thing I'd like to bring to the table here, is that as we look at solarization of these agricultural feeders, a lot of times one area of one particular way of solving the problem is, can we solve the problem at source? Just like in classic energy efficiency, whenever there is pumps and motors coming on, what do? You put the mechanism to improve power quality at the source, as close to the source as possible. So what we did was, one of the feeders that we had selected, we put solar sources, local solar, small solar solutions near the pump, so as to provide supply during the daytime. And then, of course, I would be remiss in not mentioning demand-side management. And we found demand-side management to be a blessing and a curse. It was a blessing because by leveraging demand-side management and using some of the programs that regulation was already provided for, we were able to manage the load and manage and stabilize the voltage. But the problem with demand-side management for the farmer in particular is that if you shift the load at night, you have solved one part of the problem from an electrical perspective, from a grid perspective. But now the pumps are all running all night. And very often what the farmers found was that to water a certain farm, it took 24 hours. Now it was running only for 12 hours. And so this took 3 days to get the job done, which meant the quality of the crop, the reliability of the crop, and things like that. Those things were affected, resulting in affecting their income. So the long and short is that I go back to this, right? This is like a flight in progress, and we have to solve the problem with multiple variables in flight. And the process, the approach we took was doing a lab test, doing a lab simulation, taking a pilot to the field, and then solving the problem one feeder at a time. Thank you.
I apologize, I skipped a name, so I'm sorry. We have Mr. Nitish Kumar, MD of DVVNL UP.
Hello. लगभग 2 घंटे से डिस्कशन चल रहा है, तो अब समय काफ़ी कम लग रहा है मुझे। तो मैं अभी एनर्जी सेक्टर में 3 महीने से हूँ, लेकिन एनर्जी सेक्टर्स में जो फील्ड लेवल में मैंने कुछ काम किया है, जो नेडा के साथ मिलकर एज ए DM अयोध्या, और अयोध्या जो सोलर सिटी के रूप में आज है, उसमें नेडा के साथ हम लोगों ने, प्रशासन ने कैसे काम किया, उस पर मैं कुछ 2-3 मिनट में प्रकाश डालना चाहूँगा। और NTPC के द्वारा वहाँ 40 मेगावाट का एक प्लांट स्टेब्लिश किया गया, और कैसे लैंड अवेलेबल हम लोगों ने कराया, ये एक इनोवेटिव मेथड था। और जैसे हम अल्टरनेटिव एनर्जी की बात करते हैं, तो अल्टरनेटिव मेथड्स और थिंकिंग की बात होनी चाहिए, क्योंकि लैंड जो कंस्ट्रेंट है यूपी के लिए काफ़ी महत्वपूर्ण है, क्योंकि यूपी में लैंड एग्रीकल्चर लैंड है, और जो अगर हम वेस्ट लैंड कर रहे हैं, जिसको सोलर के रूप में यूज़ करना चाह रहे हैं, वो वास्तविक रूप से वेस्ट लैंड नहीं है। तो हमें देखना होगा कि हम लैंड अवेलेबल किस प्रकार से कराएं। ACS मैम महाराष्ट्र ने काफ़ी डिटेल से बताया कि कैसे लैंड अवेलेबल कराया गया डिफरेंट प्रोजेक्ट्स के लिए, ये काफ़ी महत्वपूर्ण है। कैसे इंसेंटिवाइज किया गया प्राइवेट और गवर्नमेंट लैंड के लिए, ये काफ़ी महत्वपूर्ण है। और यूपी में इस संदर्भ में पॉलिसी बनाई गई है कि हम नेडा को 1 रुपीज़ पे जिला प्रशासन रेवेन्यू की लैंड दिया जाता है नेडा को। और मुझे लग रहा है कि इसमें अगर हम उसको 50,000 पर हेक्टेयर का जो मैम का प्रस्ताव था, उसमें अगर इसको हम इंसेंटिवाइज करेंगे तो काफ़ी हमारे पास लैंड मिल पाएगा। लेकिन इसमें हमें फोकस करना होगा कि कौन से लैंड को दिया जाए। तो मैंने जो प्रयोग किया था अयोध्या में, वो सबसे महत्वपूर्ण कि जो रिजर्व लैंड था, वेस्ट लैंड इसको कह सकते हैं, जो वाटर लॉक्ड एरिया था, उस लैंड का हम लोगों ने प्रयोग किया। और सबसे महत्वपूर्ण है कि कैबिनेट ने इसको अप्रूव किया, और उसके यूपी में पॉलिसी है जो वेस्ट लैंड या रिजर्व लैंड होता है, उसके लिए अगर कोई लैंड आप देते हैं तो उसका कंपनसेटरी लैंड देना होता है। तो अगर कंपनसेटरी लैंड देना होगा तो बात बराबर होगी, लेकिन इसमें को कैबिनेट ने एग्जेम्प्ट किया, और हम लोगों ने इसका कैबिनेट नोट, अनुपम शुक्ला भी हैं यहाँ पे, और सब लोगों ने काफ़ी मिलकर मेहनत करके हम लोग बनाया, और कैबिनेट ने इसको किया। और इसमें बताना भी चाहूँगा कि हाई कोर्ट तक ने इसको, माननीय उच्च न्यायालय तक ने इसको माना कि कैसे हम लोगों ने ये कहा कि वाटर लॉक्ड एरिया में अगर हम सोलर प्लांट लगाते हैं, जो कि रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी का एक स्रोत है, और इससे एक सस्टेनेबल एनर्जी हमें मिलेगा, और लैंड यूज़ भी हम चेंज नहीं कर रहे हैं, लैंड यूज़ का पैटर्न नहीं चेंज कर रहे हैं, और उसका जो सैंटिटी है वो भी बनी हुई है। तो इस कॉन्सेप्ट को लेकर हम लोग आगे चले, इसको अब एक्सपेंशन हम लोग किया जा सकता है। बहुत से हमारे गवर्नमेंट लैंड्स हैं जो वेस्ट पड़े हुए हैं, और मुझे लगता है कि इसमें प्राइवेट लैंड्स पे हम लोग को फोकस कम करना चाहिए, क्योंकि प्राइवेट लैंड पे एग्रीकल्चर का फोकस होना चाहिए। मैंने जैसा कहा कि जो वेस्ट लैंड हम जिसको मान रहे हैं, यूपी में ऐसा कोई लैंड नहीं है जो वेस्ट है, प्राइवेट है, जिसका यूज नहीं किया जा सकता। आप देख सकते हैं इजराइल में ऐसे टेक्निक्स हैं जिसमें बिल्कुल वेस्ट लैंड, हमारे यहाँ उससे बहुत अच्छी ज़मीनें हैं, उसका प्रोडक्टिविटी काफ़ी बढ़ सकता है, उसको हम प्रयोग कर सकते हैं। एक और भी, और मैं ये बताना चाहूँगा कि नेडा के साथ हम लोगों ने मिलकर और NTPC के साथ 10 मंथ्स के रिकॉर्ड टाइम में लैंड आइडेंटिफिकेशन भी हुआ, प्रोजेक्ट जितना इंक्रोचमेंट था सबको हटाया भी गया, साथ में इंस्टॉलेशन भी हुआ और जनरेशन भी हुआ। 10 मंथ्स के कम पीरियड में 40 मेगावाट का प्रोडक्शन भी शुरू हुआ। तो ऐसे हम एक पॉलिसी लेवल पे उसको इम्प्लीमेंट करके काफ़ी बड़े स्तर पे इसको प्रयोग कर सकते हैं। एक और आइडिया है जिसको प्रयोग किया जा सकता है, पंप स्टोरेज की बात की जाती है। हमारे यूपी में जो लैंड जो पट्टा के लिए दिया जाता है, माइनिंग पट्टा के लिए, वो काफ़ी लैंड वो वेस्ट लैंड के रूप में होता है, वहाँ पे वाटर स्टोरेज भी कैपेसिटी बढ़ जाती है। उसको भी हम लोग उसको देख सकते हैं कैसे पंप स्टोरेज में उसको यूज़ किया जा सकता है। हम बड़े लैंड पैच को सेलेक्ट कर सकते हैं और इसमें ये काम हम लोग कर सकते हैं। तो वो ऐसे लैंड हम कर सकते हैं जिसमें अभी एग्रीकल्चर यूजेस नहीं है या जिसका भविष्य में भी कोई प्रयोग संभावित नहीं है, वहाँ वाटर स्टोर हो रहा है, उसको हम कैसे पंप स्टोरेज के रूप में यूज़ कर सकते हैं। इस पर भी हम रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी के रूप में बात कर सकते हैं, क्योंकि जो बेसिक कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ क्रक्स रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी का है कि हम रिसोर्स को ऑप्टिमाइज करें, और इस रिसोर्स ऑप्टिमाइजेशन उसी से हो सकता है कि हम कैसे नए लैंड को ना लेकर जो वेस्ट लैंड है उसका प्रयोग करें। और इसी के साथ मैं अपनी बात समाप्त करता हूँ। आप सभी को धन्यवाद।
We are running behind time, but if there is 1 or 2 questions from anybody in the audience, I will take it. 1, 2, 3. Okay. With that, Madam Chair, your closing remarks, please.
So, dear friends, I think in conclusion, I would like to say that all the states are now working on energy transition plans. As per the vision of Honorable Prime Minister, we have to source 50% of our energy demand from renewable sources by the year 2030. And we all are progressing in this direction. It is just that we have to find some innovative mechanisms so that solarization and other RE sources can be deployed at a very faster pace. So with these closing remarks, I think we will conclude the session. Thank you so much.
It's not working. Appreciation to our speakers, please. Srimati Abha Shukla, ACS Energy, Maharashtra. Thank you so much, ma'am. Shri Ravi Sitapati, Advisor, ISGF. Shri Vipul Joyshar, Director, Aditya Green Energy Private Limited. Shri Deepak Raizada, Chief Engineer, PPA. Shri Ranveer Prasad, MD, UPPTCL. Shri Dhruv Sori and Mohak Mangal, Stanford University, USA. Shri Arvind Singh, Shri Arvind Singh. Shri S.R. Pandey, Member, GERC. Shri J.K. Sir, Scientist, MNRE. Shri Nitish Kumar, MD, DVVNL. And now Shri Anand, Advisor, ISGF. Thank you very much, sir. And now I request everyone to please come for a group photo, please.